Hello, friend, and welcome to the 10-Minute Mind Shift Podcast. I'm your host, Janet Cagle, certified life coach, business strategist, and lover of all things related to up-leveling my life and yours. My goal is to help you experience a mind shift that gets you one step closer to your goals, whatever they are. My goal is not to keep you wrapped up in self-help all day, just 10 minutes. And who doesn't have 10 minutes, right? Welcome back, my friends. Today, I thought it would be fun to talk about working with difficult people. I mean, if that's not fun, this is episode 17. Can you believe that? Each week, this just gets more and more fun as I read your reviews and your emails. So keep the love coming, my friends. And if you've not left me a review yet, come on, listen to the end and see what's in it for you when you do. All right, let's get started. When it comes to people, and by people, I mean everyone, not just difficult people or people you work with, how we experience each other is through our thoughts about them. Our relationship with everyone in our life is our thoughts about them. Now, we might be influenced by things that they say and do, by their behavior, but it's still our thoughts about them that is our relationship with them. And if you've been listening for a while, you know that it's our thoughts that create our emotions, and our emotions become fuel for how we show up in the world. And that is what is creating our results. So, when you think someone is difficult, it's generally because you don't like something that they said or that they did, or you don't like the way that they say or do things. Sometimes it's not even about the words as much as the tone and the body language, right? You might even have thoughts like, that's just rude, or I don't like it when people are dismissive, or negative people are annoying. You might even think that your thoughts are justified by their behavior. They might be talking over people. They appear to be extremely direct and non-collaborative. Maybe they're too loud or too quiet. They show up late. They aren't prepared. All the annoying behavior that makes a person difficult to work with. Here's what's so crazy about how our brain works and what I really want you to think about this week. As soon as we think that someone is difficult, we start seeing evidence everywhere to support that thought. Pretty soon, that's all we see of them when we see them. For example, a few years ago, I was working with someone that I put into the category of a difficult person. She was rude, she was short and curt with me, dismissive of ideas of mine and others. Her body language was always arms crossed in front of her very tightly as if she were giving herself a hug. She never greeted anyone as she walked into the room, and when she spoke, it was loud. Notice all of the thoughts that I have about her in my description of her. When we have thoughts like these running through our brains, this is what our eyes will seek and provide evidence of our thoughts. All of the thoughts that I was having about her was changing the way I showed up. I was showing up in a way that I was not proud of. I would show up in meetings a little less vocal. I would hold back. I did not engage when I should have for fear of what she would say or how she would say it. I didn't contribute in meetings like I should have. Me thinking that she was difficult did not change her. It changed me. And here's the deal. She was also extremely smart and generous and talented. Because I was so wrapped up in her being difficult, my eyes did not see all of those other attributes. This is an area of growth that definitely is worth doing the work on, because how many of us are working with people that we think are difficult, and we're thinking about leaving the company we love so much or a job that we love so much because of a person that we think we can't work with, right? And I want to show you that that's just not true. And maybe you've done that. I have. And then what I found out is that there's difficult people everywhere. And if I didn't figure out how to manage my mind around it, I would either be living a miserable existence at work or be constantly changing jobs, right? I opted to figure it out. Here's the deal. Your brain wants to prove your thoughts true, regardless of them being true or not. It's the brain fulfilling its need to support your thoughts. It's called confirmation bias, a totally normal human brain at work. But as humans, we spend most of our time thinking about how others should or should not behave with us. And we spend an extraordinarily little amount of time in examining how we are reacting to them. However you see them with your thoughts, your eyes will provide evidence for. You may not like what other people do or say, but here are 3 mind shifts for you. Number 1, not liking how they behave is not an excuse for how you behave. Number 2, you don't have to wait for them to act differently before you start acting differently. And number 3, the only way they will ever change is if they decide to, not because you decide you want them to. You having the thought that someone is difficult is what is making them difficult. I know you think that it's what they are saying or doing, the circumstances, but it's not. It's the thoughts that you are having. It's what you are making their behavior or words mean that is creating the notion that this person is difficult. And remember, just because you think it does not make it true. Here are 3 points that I think about when I think someone is difficult, and it is super helpful for me, so I hopefully it'll be helpful for you as well. Number 1, humans may display behavior that I think is difficult to deal with, but people are not difficult. Number 2, people are just being people, and I'm just being human, and they're just being human too. Number 3, when I believe that someone is difficult, it changes how I show up, how I interact, and how I perform. Here's a bonus for you. What if you just thought they're doing the best they can? The reason why I went to work on this area of my life is because I wanted to show up differently, regardless of how someone else showed up. I don't want you to work on this for their benefit. I want you to work on this for your benefit. I am attaching a link to a workbook in the show notes designed to help you change the relationship that you have with your difficult person. So many times we think that we need to be the one who has to give up something or give in on something. We need to be the one to compromise to get along with the difficult person. I want you to think differently about this. We think we have to give up part of who we are. I think the opposite is true. I think we get to show up even more of who and what we already are. We get to grow and develop our skill set, exercise our skills. We get to show up and be our highest and best self regardless of the other person. To me, this doesn't mean that I'm giving up who I am at all. It's exercising even more of who I am. Here is my final thought. It's totally up to you what you want to do when you encounter that difficult person at work. But one thing I know for sure from my own experience is that when you think someone is difficult, it doesn't change them. It changes you. All right, my friend, now go and have the best week ever. That's a wrap of the 10-Minute Mind Shift podcast. I hope that you were able to experience your own mind shift today. Listen, if you're ready to take this work to the next level, I highly recommend Life by Design Academy. It's my one-on-one coaching program that offers you a transformation at the speed of life.